Hollywood and Wall Street shake hands to turn on Harry and Meghan. A damning two-word assessment of the Sussexes is just the latest bad news for the couple as they struggle to save their American dream. If we wanted to try to make the ABCs of the royal family, then maybe it would begin a little like this. A is for Ascot, B is for Buckingham Palace, C is for Charles, and D is for Diana. And E, of course, is for the very woman who made history and Paddington Bear chuckle. And F is for, well, flop. Over the last couple of weeks, perhaps the biggest story in the world of the royals has been the turn for the worse in the professional lives of Harry and Meghan. After years of hearing these big announcements about big deals that were supposedly going to result in Meghan and Harry churning out so much content that would entertain and inform the masses, reality has come a-knocking. And it's not a very pleasant knock either. It sounds more like a bang on the door, in fact. Apparently, their paymasters were not very happy that their ideas were absolutely ridiculous, and they were even more unhappy that their attitude when it came to hard work seems to be pretty unenthusiastic. And that brings us to that big F word. Just when everybody thought things were not going well for Montecito's most famous malcontents, it looks like things are getting even worse. Because now Harry and Meghan have been labeled by both leading business and entertainment publications as flops. Well, the house of cards really started to fall in June when their Spotify contract went the way of Prince William's hair, and then it was reported that Netflix is probably not going to want to renew their contract. First, Wall Street Journal really dug into their downfall. They called it Harry and Meghan produce a Hollywood flop themselves. And next, Rolling Stone came after them. They put out a piece earlier this week that said that Meghan Markle and Prince Harry are in their flop era. It's pretty difficult right now to escape the sense that Hollywood and Wall Street might have turned on Meghan and Harry's lackluster, if not just lacking output. Now, maybe there is a specific kind of Newtonian dimension to all this mess. What goes up must come down. Or perhaps what is happening is more of an emperor's new clothes situation. I mean, think about it. For years now, Meghan and Harry have been telling anybody who would listen about how really soon they're going to start making podcasts and TV shows and documentaries. And we better get ready because they've got so many ideas. Their stuff is just going to be amazing. Meghan and Harry acted like they were going to save the world with their content. So, of course, people assumed they were going to create some shows that were going to highlight some problems in the world, that they were going to go out there and help people who really needed it. Now, maybe it would have been uncomfortable, but there may have been more than a hint of the exploitative. I mean, nothing like stars traveling to places like Africa to prove that they really are caring people. And then, of course, they co-opt the suffering of other people. But still, at least it would have been something. I thought surely they were going to be talking about illness and wars and causes that people often ignore. And I'm guessing money would have been flowing in. The way they acted, I assumed they were going to do what the late Princess of Wales Diana would have done if fate had not so cruelly intervened. But instead, Meghan and Harry have proven to be an exercise in sound bites and meaningless platitudes. Now, the big problem that has become very obvious is that they don't have much to say. And the stuff they do come up with sounds like an SNL sketch. I mean, Harry going to interview Vladimir Putin about his childhood pain, Meghan helming a retelling of Miss Havisham's story that would, quote, recast the lonely spinster as a strong woman living in a patriarchal society. Meghan and Harry, along with their paymasters at Netflix and Spotify, just assumed that the otherworldly magic of their royal status would never evaporate with time, that their royal status was going to be enough for them, that people were going to watch them just because of those titles, and that they would never slip from can't-look-away cultural supernovas to predictable figures that cannot hold the public's attention or respect for that matter. I also doubt that anyone at Spotify or Netflix assumed that Meghan and Harry would be giving their story away to other people, retelling again and again basically the same story. I mean, they're like the boy and girl who cried wolf on repeat. What was not priced into the great Sussex deals of 2020 was the diminishing returns of Meghan and Harry spending almost 2 years beating the same drum. Who knows how Meghan and Harry could possibly fix the situation? It's looking increasingly impossible. Now, it does seem like there has been some effort to put out some positive news about the two of them. Page 6 has reported that Harry is, quote, making plans to return to Africa solo for a new Netflix documentary. And the Daily Mail's Alison Boshoff has reported that it's expected that Meghan will take on a string of commercial endorsements in fields meaningful to her, such as food, wellness, fashion, and therapy. Now, the question of which companies want to pay the money required to secure Meghan's talents is a pretty big one. Newsweek did some polling back in late May, and they found that 39% of Americans had a favorable view of Meghan, and 34% reported having an unfavorable view. Would those kinds of numbers translate into enough people willing to part with their money for a piece of brand Meghan? I don't think so. And in a case of very convenient timing, recently Harry and Meghan were caught by a paparazzo looking happy as can be, while a more cynical person may find such a lovely moment caught on camera at such a convenient time worthy of a sardonic eyebrow raise. Page 6 reported back in March, quote, after having stayed largely quiet in the Santa Barbara area for nearly 3 years, Harry and Meghan seem to be playing the Hollywood game. But is it really going to make such a difference if Harry goes out there and tries to hug some elephants for the cameras? Is that really going to make people forget about everything that has happened and go back to supporting the pair? I mean, unless Harry can somehow single handedly save all the elephants from poachers, I'm not sure that anybody's going to really care or watch all that much. And then Meghan and her much celebrated goop esque empire that's always supposed to be in the offing is also not very impressive. I mean, there are basically as many A-listers as well as B-listers and C-listers trying to set themselves up as shamans of the throw rug set as there are big names who are trying to shill for that weight loss medicine. For this to work as a business deal, Meghan is going to need to find some serious point of difference or way to distinguish herself from every other famous person out there trying to sell overpriced soy candles and face serums that cost as much as your power bill. And let's remember that Gwyneth Paltrow's goop works because customers are buying into Gwyneth Paltrow. People look up to her, people want to be like her, they want to buy what she is selling. Outside of Meghan's fans, I mean, who is going to be wanting to part ways with their hard earned money just to support Meghan Markle? Thanks to the choices that Meghan and Harry have made over the last couple of years, they can't really be any kind of mainstream selling stuff in Target brand. Their names are now associated with family pain, with toxicity, and also with difficult questions about race in the media. They've made themselves way too complicated, too political for some deep pocketed cosmetics label to want to hire the two of them. And perhaps they see all of this as the right thing morally. But as commercial prospects, well, it looks like they have taken quite a big hit. Well, if all else fails, if they can't come up with any new projects, then maybe they can go back to reality TV. Maybe they could become the real HRHs of Montecito.